And now, from Glasgow.
So hi guys, welcome to my build. This is the Portable Workshop Cabinet. Now I do have a project lined up for you beginning next week. It is now officially Wooden Wednesday on my channel, but because obviously the models that I'm going to be doing, they're a little bit different from the models that I'm used to. So I took a look at this, and I've actually had one of these before, but is this coming out? No, it's sellotaped on. So I decided I would get this. I thought it would just help organise things while I'm building. You know, I've got some different products and things, and this would be helpful. This is primarily used for ships, shipbuilding, but can equally be useful for what I'm going to be starting to build next week. So first of all, let's have a look at the box. This is a simple build. I've seen it built on YouTube and I've built one myself. It is very, very simple. The amount of tools that you need or supplies is quite low, and it's just superb. So let's bring this picture out. We'll make reference to that. So the first thing I can see, it's actually really nicely packaged. This nice bubble wrap. I actually bought this from Hobbyist, a company called Hobbyist. Fantastic service. Ordered it on a Monday, received it on a Tuesday. So you get these storage boxes, and these are really handy so that you can just pop any supplies you've got in. If you do things like ship models and stuff, they do come with some funny small parts. One issue I think I have, I don't know if that's meant to be like that. So this piece here is actually open, so it's actually one, whereas these have got dividers, but this one, it's open. So is it a problem? Probably not. You know, just kind of organised. Now with a lot of the Occre models, you do actually get one of these with the model, and it'll come with parts. So one of these will actually be replaced, and then you can decide whether to keep them or you know, use the one that came with the model. But there we are, 5 little storage boxes. So we just pop those to one side. Then we have the instruction manual. I don't really think you're going to need them, but that's how to construct it, and I'll be going through this. And all you're really going to need is some wood glue and something to apply the glue with. Right, so we have got some metal fixings there. I think that's more to do with the stand on the top, because it's an adjustable stand. We then have, we just get rid of that bubble wrap. We then have, let's call these frets or sprues if you want, but these are laser cut wood, and it's obviously thin MDF. And then these, and this is basically how it's all constructed. So it's basically like fun flat pack. Obviously flat pack furniture you get is making wardrobes and things, but this is a lot more fun because it's obviously hobby supplies. So it's quite a lot of sprues, and we've got this. I'm not 100% sure what that is for, but that's a foam insert. And this piece of wood, I think they're for the handles for the drawers. And yeah, I'm not going to go through each individual piece, because as you can see, they're all just pieces, and they make very little sense at this point until you actually start to build it, and then you sort of know, oh, I need this piece, I need that piece. But yeah, so I'll go through these. Now what I would recommend, things like this, no problems, that's all one piece. Some of these are actually built into a sprue, So we'll go through some of those when it becomes relevant, but we need to cut those off. You could carefully push them out, but I'm going to cut them with a knife, and then obviously give them a little bit of a sanding. This doesn't have to be super neat, it's just a workstation, but obviously the whole thing is as nice as you want it to be. Right, so guys, I'm going to prepare myself, and I'm going to do an edited version of the build. Okay, so the first thing that I've observed is the instructions are a little bit funny. You've got the front page in multiple languages. You then open it up and you've got the first, I assume they're first stages, so obviously you have to turn them over, and it says A, B, and then the next bit is A, B, and the next is A, B, C, D, but no actual, I can't see any page numbers, so we don't know if this is the first stage of the instructions or that's the first page. All you can really do is just kind of guess, but it looks like you're actually building sections and then you're adding those sections together. However, once you get, so you've got that page and that page, then this page, that all follows nice, and then this one seems to be upside down, so then you're spinning them round, and then that makes this one upside down, and I just think that that could be a little bit better. I am being a little bit picky, but look, I just think, look, that one's the correct way up, that one's upside down, so you're going to be finding yourself doing this a lot. It's not a major problem because no stages spew over onto a second page, so you are dealing with it one step at a time, but I just think that could be a little bit better. You know, we haven't built it yet, we're still building up our first impressions, and obviously the first impression that I'm getting is maybe it's a little bit, you know. Okay, so I'm going to start on the first section. I'm only going to go through the instructions in this way just the once. You can see that to make up like a drawer you need part 9, 10, 11 and 11A. It does actually give you a big map of all the pieces. So what you're then looking for, like you see you've got all the one section are all on one piece of wood. 9, 2, 10s, 11 and 11A. What you then need to do is find a piece that looks like that. You see there aren't any that look exactly the same, so it's quite well designed in that way, and this is the pieces that I'm going to need. And what I'm going to do, getting a knife or something, just you see there that might be easy to see on this side, so these pieces of wood are cut, but there's just a very slight mark where it's not cut, and what we're going to do is we're just going to gently run our knife. Stanley knife would probably be a little bit better, but I'm not sure if I've actually got one, or a razor saw. We're just going to tease those out. You probably could actually push them out, but you do run the risk of there we go, you do run the risk of damaging the pieces. I'm going to take that chance actually. Doesn't matter if it's super neat, but there we go. There you go, that's a little bit of damage there, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I think I'll do the pushing it out. Some people will argue that pushing it out like this is not the best way to go about it. But, you know, if I was doing a model for a museum, say, I would definitely be, say, cutting those pieces out. There we go. That's on its way out. Okay. It's taking a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but it's okay. Right, so obviously, so that's the end of that sprue. I have damaged it as I took it out, but that's not the end of the world. Right, so you are going to be left with these little sprue nubs, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself a piece of sandpaper or some kind of sander, and I'm just going to take those down just to smooth them down a bit. Doesn't need to be superbly done, but obviously we don't want to cause any damage, catch anything. So there we go. So I'll just carry on doing that and then we'll finish putting them together. Okay, so I did actually start sanding them, but to be honest with you, I just found them easier just to run a knife along there. Just so long as there's nothing sticking out, because some of these will affect the fit. But just like run a knife just to get that, and it's as simple as that. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take our base, and what we want to do is we want to put our 2 11 pieces there. We'll always do a dry fit, guys, and then piece number 10. If you've seen me do any of the other drawers that I've got, you'll see this just all goes together the same way, and then that goes in there, and then I can see that that actually fits together really nicely. So once that's in, so I think what I'm doing, having done the dry fit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the back piece, and then I'll fit one of the sides, and then I'll fit the next side. Okay, and the material that I'm going to use for this is wood glue. I'm using this particular kind of wood glue because that's what I have lying around. That's, you know, use whatever glue you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the relevant contact points. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue along there. One of the reasons I like this particular glue, it's a brand that I trust, and I quite like this spreader. You don't need to apply too much glue. The more glue you apply, the longer it's going to take to dry. But obviously if you don't apply enough glue, it's not going to be a strong enough bond. But I find this glue, sometimes it can be a false economy buying cheaper glue, because you're going to need to use twice as much of it to make a bond. Right, so that's in. So slight bit of urgency. Everywhere there's a contact point, we want to just pop a little bit of glue. Like so. We've already done our dry fit, so we know this is going to fit okay. Put a bit more there. There we go. Right, and once that's in, we'll do the same with the other side. Doesn't matter if you do glue the wrong bit, it just won't look quite so good. So try and get the glue points accurate. There we go. And then this one's going to be slightly trickier to do, so just have another little practice run with it. Whereas these sides, you can bring them in and then fold them up, this one needs to be brought in a little bit more at 45 degrees. So I'm just working out where the contact points will be. And that is the first drawer done. So what I like to do, just get a little bit of masking tape. We'll just give that a bit of a wipe where there's a little bit of glue squidge. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is going to get some masking tape, and on these points of contact I'm going to go with the tab, and I'm going to bring that in. Equally, you could use a clamp. I don't have any clamps that are big enough to do this, but masking tape works absolutely fine. So we'll do the opposite end. I mean, this drawer isn't going to be waterproof. There will be slight gaps, but it's going to be perfectly fit for purpose. And then we'll put another piece there. And then we'll do some on the sides. There we go. Okay, so that's completely masked up. I've always gone with the tab, and then that should hold that quite nicely. And then what I just want to do is get myself a cotton bud and just get all of that glue squidge from inside. We'll just run a cotton bud up and down. Like so. And then, to be honest with you, with the glue that I'm using, this will probably be solid by the time I finish building the whole thing. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to finish building it, and then I'm probably going to walk away from it for about an hour, and then I'll put all the final pieces together. So we'll crack on with the second stage. Okay, so the next stage calls for us to make some handles for this, and they do supply us with a piece of wood, and I can just check the dimensions. It should be 5mm, which it is, by 10mm, and then we want 35mm sections. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to mark one off. There we go, 35mm. And then I'm going to cut that off. This is a ceramic marker. All I'm going to do is just make a little mark. It's more of a score mark. And then I'm going to cut that off with a blade. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, rather than marking off the next one, I'm just going to mark this the same length, and then I can cut. Try and do this one a little bit nicer than the last. There we go. So that's my second handle, and then I'll mark off the third one, and I'll carry that on until I've done 5. Okay. Okay, so I've cut my 5 little handles off, and these are going to go on to the front. And yeah, okay. I thought that was the front. So what's going to happen is they're going to go on like so. Now obviously they're not going to stick on with wood glue, because it won't stick to plastic. So I'm just using a super glue. This one just happens to be VMS Flexi. I'm using this simply because that's the one that I've got to hand. You could use your favourite super glue. And all we're going to do is we're going to just pop that onto there. Give it a couple of minutes to set. And then there you go. That's our handles. I'll see you in a moment, guys. Okay, so that's my handles done. These I've done them in that order, so I'm going to look at this one first. So there we have a useful handle. That's certainly going to be strong enough to pull it in and out. It may not last for many years, but to be honest with you, as you do these models, you get given another one of these as you build them. I don't know if they'll be the same model, the same kind of ones or not. But you know, a little piece of wood on there to act as a handle, I think that's absolutely sufficient. Right, so on to the next stage. Okay, so for the next bit we're going to need 3 bits. We're going to need this piece number 1, we're going to need this fret with some various bits on, and these ones which I believe are called number 4, and we will also need a little bag of metalwork. Okay, so the instructions, you'll see that at the first step it actually asks you to put these in there on the outsides, but then on the second step it's actually on the inside. That makes me think this is designed to be temporary, so you can actually adjust it where you want. These will actually be screwed in the next step, but with the screw in, and there's a line there, let me show you on there. So by screwing it in, it makes this adjustable. So using that logic, these can either be screwed into the outside, or you can bring them in a little bit, and then obviously if you're working on a very small ship, you can place them there. That's the wrong way round. And then if you're working on a larger ship, you can have these further out. So I'm convinced that these are not to be glued in, but also I've put them in now because I think it's just going to help it keep its shape while this glue dries. But as per a previous step that I've done, I am just going to tape these up. So I think I'll just need to take those off actually, but these certainly did help while I was assembling it. So let me get these taped up and I'll come back to you in a moment. Okay, so that's the top tray done. Now, this is the top tray, as obviously you're going to be putting things, your model on it. Now you notice that there's two holes down there. This top tray isn't going to be glued in. It's actually designed to sit on the top, and then obviously it can be lifted off. The last stage that we're going to do is we're going to be popping these in, and I'll just do the one for you. And all we're going to do is we're going to get one of these screws and we're going to pop that in there, do it up with a wing nut. And now I know this is meant to be done up and undone, because usually when they give you a wing nut, it's so that you can undo it. So there we go, wing nut. And now this can be adjusted to suit the size of your ship. I'm not going to be using these so much because I'm not going to be doing a lot of ships. I would have liked to have seen a washer on there, just to give that a little bit of, you know, a little bit more, less pressure on one point. And also because, well, my next project isn't going to be a ship. But now I'm absolutely sure that these are going on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off and I'm going to fix this to these so that you can see exactly what I mean about the adjustability. So there we go, guys, that's those in place. So this is the bit you can pop your ship in there. It doesn't have to be a wooden ship, it can be a scale model ship. And then these will actually adjust outwards if you've got something a little bit wider. If you've got something very big, you can move these out onto there. So now we can actually get more support on there. And if that isn't enough for you, you can actually screw these pieces into the outside. Like I say, the only criticism I've got, you can see that that nut isn't much bigger than the actual hole. I would like to have seen some kind of washer, and I think I will probably invest in 4 washers, 8 washers maybe, before I do my first ship. But to be absolutely honest with you, I'm probably not going to be using this an awful lot. It's, you know me, I don't do a lot of ships, and also the ships take a long time. So to be honest with you, this will probably spend most of its life like so. Maybe like that. We'll think of something, somewhere to put them when they're not in use. But this is the top tray, guys. Nice. I mean, it's so simple. I think its genius is actually in its simplicity. It's not over-engineered, and it just does the job properly. Have I even put... There we go. And of course, by having them in there, it is going to add a little bit more support. But yeah, I'm happy enough with that, guys. Like I say, it's ever so simple. So we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, so we're on to the next stage now. We're going to be making the side of the platform, the workbench. I'm going to put it this way so it fits better. What's going to happen is These pieces didn't come on a sprue, they just came separate. These will need to be pushed out. This is actually the opposite side, and this is going to be the back. Note that these two are not the same length. This is going to form the outside of the whole workbench. This is on the inside. And then what we're going to do, we're going to add in 2 supports there using these, and then these smaller ones will fill in there, and that will create the shelves for the drawers that we made earlier. So I'm going to crack on with that. Okay, so we've completed this side of it now. We now want to do this side, and then the next stage will be to bring it together. And we're going to be using these sprues, and they'll all go together quite nice, I hope. Okay, so it's now time to join these 2 halves together. I've just given this a little bit of time just to start drying off a bit. So we're going to join these together, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to be using this plate. There's 3 pieces that we need to complete this. Make sure the tab's at the bottom, and all I'm going to do, it does suggest that you glue them, but this is quite a stiff connection. So I'm just going to push that in, and I'm not going to bother gluing it. The reason being is we're going to glue all of this to a base plate. So I think once it's all glued in to the base plate, it will then be a bit more final. So there we go, that's gone in fine. And then we take our base plate, which goes in this way. We'll do a dry fit, and yeah, it's going to have to go well. The instructions say to glue all the pieces onto this. I think I'm actually going to do it upside down, and I think that'll be a little bit easier. So, and that's another reason to not glue it, because obviously if you twist it, it's going to break it too much. So, yep, I think that's ready to go. So this is going to be the problem side by the looks of it, and all we're going to need to do is just apply glue all around, and then we'll get that done. Maybe I should just pop a little bit of glue. Yeah, I'm going to apply a little bit of glue onto this side, because this is quite loose on the tabs there, but the tabs there are quite stiff. I like the idea that I can split it apart before the final gluing. Okay, so I've applied glue all around. I have had to remove the masking tape from this side. Obviously that was holding it together. And starting from this side, because it's the loose side, we're going to just add all these pieces. And I can't help wondering if, there we go, I did have the base plate upside down. So starting from this end, which is the part storage side, we're just going to get that finished off. And once we get these tabs in, the rest should just follow. And it's not as easy as it looks. There we go, that's it. There we go. So get the outsides done, and then worry about the middle from there on in. And this all seems to have slipped, unless it's upside down. So turn it around, and then we can just make sure all of these pieces are in properly, which this one isn't. Right. Alright, Spirit. The cat's come to join me. Okay. I'm not sure if that's an ill fit or... yeah, that was me not having quite put it in properly. If you don't put them in properly, you will definitely see it. Sorry, Missy, but you're going to have to go. We all love to see you on camera, but not when we're building. There we go. And something interesting there. Right, I see what's happened. Yeah. So make sure you get these little tabs at the bottom are poking out, because they will act as feet. So there we go, that is that done. A couple of little tiny bits left to do, but that is the base done. And then what I'm going to do is we will pop the top on there. That will just help a little bit. And then, oh, we have got one more piece to do, which I should actually have done first. My bad. Just pop this little support in. But this is quite handy because I've not glued these sides in. There we go. So if we pop this onto its back so that you can see it easier, there is the workbench, so to speak. This goes onto the top, and that's held on by two tabs. And then we have the drawer there. That's going to go in the bottom. And then we have our little parts drawers, which are going to go into there. And then we have one extra little piece. We've got a little shelf there, that's quite useful. We've got part storage there. Now this part piece here should be just big enough for an A4 cutting mat. And then we've got some tool holders there, so that I could pop that in there like that. Parts going in there, and it looks like there's enough room there for another drawer. So the drawer that comes with your model, you can put that there, or you can actually replace the drawer. And it looks like it's a little bit crude, but you could pop another drawer there. But I think it looks like I'll be popping the parts. I don't really know. I might use that as a shelf, because when you start putting together small parts, you pop them there. Right, let's pop this away somewhere safe so it can dry off, and then we'll just make the last little accessory for it. So this is the last piece. We have one kind of sprue, and this is going to be a sort of a small tool holder type thing, and we'll make that up. Okay, so the last bit is actually quite tricky. Where's my glue gone? So the way it goes together, it is quite clever. I've just done a dry fit, and I'm actually ignoring the instructions now, because I don't quite agree with the way the instructions are going, and I think this is a better way to do it. So we're just going to pop these two pieces on like so, and then what we want to do now is pop the sides on, and once we've got one side on, it'll become a lot easier. But you've got quite a lot of pieces, which then adds more support, and it is actually quite good. But it's one of those things that until you get a few pieces on, it's quite weak and quite fiddly. And I say once the glue's actually dry, it will be amazingly strong. There we go. And then what we want to do is pop that piece onto there, like so. And you see, I don't know if you just saw that wobble, it is trying to fall apart. You see that because you're putting things in at an angle, there's no real absolute bonds, but this piece is bonding quite well to the supports, and then that support is bonding to this other piece, which then has another support in, and then this should finish it all off. Yep. So this piece there isn't going to bond to that because of the angle, but it will bond to that one. So we'll pop a little bit of glue in there, and then a bit along there. So basically the way this is working is that something is bonded to something, which is then bonded to something else, which then comes back. It looks really messy with these glue marks everywhere, but once the glue is dry, it'll look a lot nicer. Now there we go, let's just fallen off. Such is my life. There we go. So that will then, let me just get through the actual workbench. So there we go, this is the workbench. Now one place you can hang this is there, so you can pop a few little bits on there. You can also hang it on the side there, and I think that's quite a nice place to hang it. It's kind of out of the way. The holes are quite small. I've noticed that I can't get the paint brushes in that I use, but I don't think these are particularly thick. And I would also like perhaps another shelf under there, because I would like to use it as a paintbrush holder. You know, it's not a problem. So maybe I could pop it there. I don't know what you could pop in there. I've got these horrible cleaning brushes. They go in there, except they're a little bit long. But I'm not an experienced shipbuilder, so I'm not looking at holes and going, oh, that's what I want to pop in there. This will also pop on the front of the drawer as well, I meant to add. And then, you know, so again, I don't really know what that particular bit is for. I'm just going to put some old waste bits in there. Oh, and I meant to add, it does actually come with some rubber feet. Sorry, some foamy feet, which obviously you put onto the bottom. I won't show you what I do with those, because I'm sure you all know how to put feet on. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. There are a few little issues, and when I say issues, there's a couple of little way things have been designed. It could have been slightly better in areas, but it's a really good tool. I mean, that's definitely, if I was forced to do a 10 out of 10 rating, I think that's definitely got to be an 8 or a 9, hasn't it, at the very least. Could do with a shelf there. I'm trying to think some of the criticisms I had. Nice little drawer there. I do like this little drawer storage there. You've got room there for storing long things, and there will be a lot of long things, and then anything shorter, I can start getting rid of this masking tape now. So any storage can go into there. We know we'll have some. And then we've got a little work, well, I'm not going to use this as a work area, but it is designed for a work area, and unless you've got hands like Incredible Hulk, I think that's big enough to actually work in there. That's not a problem. So, you know, if perhaps you're a kitchen table modeler, I think this would be absolutely perfect for you. You know, if you've got limited space and you perhaps need to clear things up every day, you could do, you know, maybe figure painters, Warhammer figure painters, who perhaps have children, and, you know, you have to put everything away at night. You could put a few paints along there, get your figures on there, and then you could use that. and then pop your paintbrushes away, and then come the end of the day, take this, pick it up, pop it away somewhere, and you're packed up within a few minutes. Really, really handy with this. Right, guys, so obviously I've announced that I'm using this to help me with my next build. My next build starts next week on the Wednesday, as it's Wooden Wednesday. I think I've kind of mentioned that it's not going to be a ship. Maybe you could drop me a comment in the comments below, guys. Maybe you could tell me what you think I'm doing starting next week. So take care until then. You have a wonderful week, and I'll see you again.